Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's going on? Rocket ship. Rocket ship. Didn't take liquidity. Came in. Hourly failed. Hourly failed. That's all she wrote. Literally all she wrote. Let's have a look what we got going on. Midpoint of this should provide something in an ideal world, but very, very possibly that we just continue on higher and make all-time highs to end the week. Well, maybe not all-time highs, but we'll see. We'll see. Ooh. That's actually a gorgeous tap back in, isn't it? Yo, good morning, good morning, good morning. $5.49. I love it. Pretty much anywhere either above this candle here, you are expecting gone. Love that idea. Boom. Gone. Morning, Andrew. One minute left for the 15. Be shocked if it didn't close above 83s. Good morning, Matthias. Risky, but I think if it holds here that we make a new high and continue on. Your 15-minute high, it's going to be here as well. Very surprising should we not at least run that out for higher. Going to sit on my hands right now. Even though I think this is a quality 10 to 20 points. We'll see. DTF, not today. Not today. We gave away 4 of them this week. Here comes 620. I completely misread it and didn't see it correctly last night, like overnight. Oh. London was inside of Asia. So we actually could have expected this to go down a little bit further. We actually could have expected that, but we'll see what happens in this midpoint here. And that's mainly because we've now got a 15-minute spike. 2 options are essentially this, and then just death. which would probably take all of this. The other option is that we just continue on, and the 15-minute and everything is just driving higher, and we're looking for 670s. Yeah, I think that that would have been a valid idea. And then essentially you're looking at when that fails, right? So when do you know that we're not trading down to here? And you could argue, sure, you got this, but I mean, you're looking at the open, right? So there's going to be a major volatility injection. There's nothing that says the 15-minute can't say get out of here on your 1-minute structure and drop and then rally. Right? This did take the liquidity. That's beautiful. That's an intermediate time frame move. You like that, right? You like how lethargic this is, but it wasn't until, like, we would be kind of looking at the manipulation of this, the fact that we took it with strength. Now you're looking at that pullback in. I think that getting long in here obviously paid, but not to mention this failure here with a higher time frame movement. I thought we were going to grab those lows before moving up. Early double top. This one, you mean? Or are you talking about this? Like in here? Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's fair, right? You've got this going on. You've got this going on. Potentially you want that. We did CSD internally. You've got a weak low and high on both sides. So it's very, very different, say, being positioned here and sort of sitting through this, but then that CSD is a concern, and then failing to manipulate here. This is just a retracement now. Yeah, I liked this a lot, and I liked the velocity. I loved it. I love that a lot. Right? Where you're kind of looking at this, and you're looking at this 15-minute that flipped. Okay, there's our 15-minute flip. Chops around in here. You could actually, in theory, have expected this. It didn't get there. Okay. This 15 minutes going to trade up to what? Per our latest and likely last video. 15-minute flip trades up to, and we failed. So absolutely, 100%, 15-minute double top inside of the 1 hour. Failure. And a violent reaction ensues, which would make sense. And that's going to do what? It's got to confirm. Now, we don't necessarily know that here at the 9 a.m. hour, which is why we kind of look at the lower time frames for that. But either way, that short would have been gorgeous for the double top. Gorgeous for the double top. Right? And then it becomes what? This push is doing what? What's its purpose? It's got two purposes, actually. Right? This area was left unmitigated. It's certainly mitigated now. Violent. Beautiful. Beautiful short. Aggressive. You'd have to be trading aggressively for that, for sure. This is your 15-minute opening range. Inside of our area of interest. All right, so here's your 5. You got a beautiful flat bottom there. It's underneath this candle at 604. And this is your 15 so far. So we've still got higher time frame points of interest. This area now really mitigated, especially this one. So should we continue higher, the only thing we've got left is the highs, I believe. I wouldn't really consider this. Oh my goodness, come on. Right, so here's your 15-minute. I do think that we're coming for this 5-minute low at minimum. Get rid of this now. That idea came into theory. That would also be a 5-minute imbalance, assuming this 15 can close. Ideally, we'd want it to close up here, or at least above this high. If this bounces from here, then it doesn't have me involved, unfortunately, but this imbalance being respected should put in at least a new low below 613. We'll wait. Don't need to be early. Do need to be correct. Not a structural area of interest, just looking at liquidity. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So there's your 5. New 5-minute just opened a couple minutes ago. This one. Don't do it. Yikes. Not as low as I'd like. Montego, right? You would consider, I mean, we're getting a little bit aggressive now. You don't really like that this closed above there, but this could be just a sort of a garbage internal movement, which then is going to continue lower with structure. Internal structure, that is, but structure nonetheless. Watching, waiting, watching, waiting, watching, waiting. New 5-minute candle in 5 seconds. Maybe get a sweep of this. I'd like that imbalance, personally, and that flat bottom. Finalize those and at least give us a bit of a lift. You got a 15-minute flat bottom as well, so a lot of liquidity there. But only looking for longs out of it, obviously. Why? Why, NQ? Why you do me like that? After this closed above here, that was a very real possibility of trading back into this candle and then going long. I passed on it as I wanted the finalization down here. Although this is price telling us that there's a much lower chance after it closes. If it wicks this, then fine. We're going lower for sure. All right, instead we get this. And we very well could be building an SNDR to run the 671 high very early in the morning. Possibly at 10 a.m. Who knows? Morning, Ulysses. On his iPad. What's going on, buddy? Three minutes until the 15. Long's getting paid. Short's having a rough time. Morning, Attack. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, there's a lot out there. There's a lot out there. I mean, you guys saw my executions this week. It's been a great week. You guys have seen, those of you guys that have been around for a while, you've also seen me fall on my face. That's trading. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise that it's all just easy. Morning, Zoe. Called out a couple of things, but nothing that was really good enough for me to engage. I was actually dealing with my dogs upstairs. This would have been the trade of the morning. Trading into here. 100% would have taken some form of something in here if I was at my desk. 100%. And then essentially had to watch this go. Failure up in here. Potential of trading back in, so it didn't engage. But continued failure underneath there, lifts us up. Wanted this 604, didn't get that. Didn't get that. You have 30 seconds for the turn of the hour. This isn't exactly how I would envision a top forming. You could argue you're getting this 5-minute double top here, and yeah, you'd be right in terms of that, but that's only one stage of failure. There's multiple stages of failure that you have to quantify. So it's not this. It's how does it react afterwards? Right? Do you double top and like displace away? Right? If not, then you're just getting essentially profit taking, and away you go. Like we've got to at least create a valid high out of this. Now you can look at and monitor the next candle. That doesn't mean go long here. Like Jesus. Right? I'm slightly hoping that we come back down for the 604 and then we see some sort of like something like this. That would be ideal, and then run this high out. And that would achieve not only our SNDR to run the higher time frame high to the left, but it would also clean up liquidity lower and give us a low risk entry. I can't really justify hitting it up here, even though like I don't think this is how I would want the shorts to come in. We got here 31.5, both. Where are these crosshairs? These are equal lows. My goodness. There's a closure now. There's a closure now. Now you got a validated zone up in here. So maybe something on this to continue, depending on what goes on. That would be a flip, but that flip would be fake, right? We'll see. Beautiful for scalping. These sort of spikes. You guys might find that you're better at longing than shorting, or vice versa. Those of you guys that like to go long for pretty much any reason, you're probably getting paid quite nicely, especially if you're scalping in this. I think taking pullback longs for highs, that would have been a decent trade. You might have a runner for 671 as well. Good morning, buddy. Good morning, good morning. Not how I want shorts to come in. Can't justify getting long at the highs, even though I think that price action is dictating just to pretty much go long anywhere with a decent stop, and you're probably going to be fine. They're not giving the shorts an ounce of room so far. In fact, they haven't ran out any longs at all, other than if you would consider like this lower time frame sweep, which I don't. Yeah, I copy trade. Yes, I copy trade. I actually use the old Apex copier. I use the old Apex copier. But We'll likely be using Replicanto in the future, yes. I got some stuff that I'm working on right now that I'll chat with you guys about next week. Essentially collecting live accounts across the board. We're getting nothing in terms of like, not an entry to be had, know where it's going, and couldn't get involved. Well, I could, but I wasn't willing to risk off of equal lows, so this is very, very annoying. But you have a high degree of certainty that we're trading up to here. Essentially, this very well could have put in here, but we knew we were creating an SMDR for this exact purpose. So once this happened, and specifically that closure, now I'm looking higher rather than here. Was looking for those equal lows, just didn't get involved. Higher time frames just pushing. Pushing, pushing, pushing. Some profit taking ensues. 10:07. Did anybody grab anything along in there, even if I did not? Do we understand why we're looking for this high and when we're looking for that high? It's not just that we're trading up, right? Because you could be trading up to mitigate, like here, right? People that went long at 65, well, they were hoping to God that this didn't fly 60, 70 points. Ooh, that's violent. Right back into our prior zone. Oh God. I think that was a grab. Violent. Very violent. Probably the most violent move of the morning since the open. There goes your high, sweeping everybody out on both sides. But I think that's grab and go movement, and go on, you son of a bitch. Yes, very likely you've taken it. Boom. Anybody snag that? Do we understand why we're looking long that high? How aggressive that was, but this push down is going to do what? At minimum. At minimum. I will take that every day of the week with size. Every day. The easiest $800 per account that I'll make this week. And there's been some pretty easy major trades this week. Let's go. All right. So, prior zone. You've now got your CSD area. It wicked it and it put in a violent wick immediately. That's a stop run. It's also potentially them scaling in to trade higher, and now if it flips, we might have a different situation on our hands, which I'll pause on. I think that this area might provide a movement back up for lower. We'll see. Yeah. If I'm going long on this wick, for starters, if you're right, and this is violent, right? That's a very emotional trade, because we've kind of been doing like bang, and then you're like, holy shit, okay. Are we going to fall through the floor, or what's going on here? So the first thing is that you have to steal your emotion. Right? Now this is likely going to be a flip. Right? So I'm not looking at that anymore. Right? So there's your flip. If we trade back in, and especially if we fail above this candle, then you very well could be looking at something lower. Right, so here's your 5. That looks a little ominous. Here's your 15, especially if we close inside. So circling back, very aggressive trade, but with trend. If we're going to fail to CSD, and I'm long on this, so you got your curve. So when I talk about the curve, you've essentially got order flow that if your one is short, and this is your curve. Right? So bullish, 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 flip, and then you got bearish, bearish, bearish. You obviously want to be in on this part of the curve. And then order flow is flipped from bullish to bearish. If we look at this wick from a lower time frame, essentially we've done like bearish, and then we're on our way back up. And when you're on your way back up, you don't expect this low to be violated now. So if I'm involved here, I'm expecting this to be manipulation, finish its objective, and now we're gone. So when I entered in here, my stop now goes underneath that candle, because this is either, by the nature of this trade, this should be aggressive, finish business, and done. To the point where once it closed here, essentially, like I was pretty much like expecting like a little bit of a wick, and then as soon as this started moving away, I'm break even. Like I'm break even here. Because there's no way that this is going to chop around after doing that. It's either going to completely mess up longs, or it's going to completely mess up shorts. There's no in between. There's no in between. There was no trigger for short in here at all. Unless you're looking at extremely aggressive trading off of this, but you got 3 steps of failure. So this trade is more contextual and aggressive than anything else. We're failing the CSD, we're trading back into a structural area of interest, and we're creating an SNDR to take the high. So I'm looking at any pullback facilitating this movement up to here. Right? Now this is a beautiful short. Your concern is the midpoint. You want to see this 1 minute flip do what, lads? 5 minutes already been achieved? Good. Where's your CSD? It's this low. You got to achieve a 5 minute CSD. You got 4 minutes to do it. right? If we get some sort of thing like this, then we probably head all the way back up to here. Can you guys see my dome or no? Do you guys see me take that? Yeah, you guys can. Good. Weird how that went away. I just looked at the stream as well. Weird. I haven't taken any other trades since that long. I do think that was a beautiful short. I didn't take it. I think when I looked at the stream, it showed that I took that long, though, just for transparency reasons. Nothing. Right. I think that this will trade up to the 40s. There it goes. Back into this fractal. What time was that? Right, so that fractal put in a 5-minute valid high. That's good. You might end up sweeping that. Right, so we're respecting this area, trading back up to this area. If this respects, then you're looking at trading lower to the 622. Beautiful short, Zach. Beautiful short. How would I have shorted? So you've got a couple of different things that you're looking at. There's a couple of different things that you're looking at. So the first one, barring everything else, is you have to understand whereabouts you are in delivery. Right? So first CSD flip that we've had since we flipped back this morning here. So we flipped bullish here. We've remained bullish even on the 1-minute time frame all the way up until here. Now this, in my opinion, now that we've taken a higher time frame high, this, even if that does flip, it's facilitating a pullback. And you're looking at, you have the SNDR, which didn't give us any sort of reaction so far, and now you've got this. So you're looking at this being a weak inside candle. We sweep the top of it. That's a very, very aggressive entry of sweeping that top. This to me is not exactly how I'd want, but ICT traders will hit this here. They'll put a stop above and they'll look for 2R. And they're perfectly fine missing out. They're not trying to be cute about it. They're looking to take these hits. In my opinion, this is facilitating a pullback up here and then away we go. Right? I love that we made a 5-minute valid high. I don't like how we didn't touch this low on the 5. But we're delivering also from a 15-minute imbalance. So it's a bit of a juxtaposition. I think this short is a valid idea. If you guys are taking it, then obviously you've got your stop in place and you want death. But sitting on my hands currently. Morning Donna, morning Astrophile, morning Jack. Better late than never. Hopefully better late because you were catching monster moves, my friend. Right? So we're getting this, good. You want to see it disrespect this breaker. As in close underneath here, ideally, and then you might get a rebid of the 50s. But if you are short, then, well, you could still look at this as potential inducement and then failure. My concern is the 15-minute fair value gap that we're delivering from, even if you've got a bearish candle that took a higher time frame high. I can understand both sides of this. Morning, Isnos. Yeah, exactly, Zach. Exactly. So that to me, if I'm like, you know what, I can understand a long from here, I can understand a short from here. Nope. Nope. And this, right about here, this is where the FOMO sets in. For both. People that miss this entire movement. Praying to whatever religious idol you believe in. Please run the highs. Please. People that are shorting, hoping to God that Trump is tweeting something nasty. Who knows? I think if this does run, then we're looking at some real danger for shorts. Right, probably up to here, 750s. You got an hourly imbalance above 700. That's also very, very, very viable. But I think that if this puts in a new high, then, and this is not how I want the shorts to react. Probably a decent long to come out of this, but mainly off of that candle there. But again, I'm not. I'm not terribly interested in that. Doing an excellent job of getting both sides interested up in here. Failing just enough to get the shorts excited and sitting in there, or maybe even adding their position. Just enough as well for the longs to be like, you know what, maybe this isn't dead. Yeah, I think that, like, I was expecting a bounce from here. And those equal lows that Zach crushed. Love all of that. Love all of that. And then this at minimum should trade back up to here, whether we fail to CSD back or not. I did think that this was going to be a pullback back in, but what I missed, I was so engrossed in the 5-minute time frame and trading down to the 620 area that I didn't even check to see if we had a 15-minute fair value gap in there. Morning, Dennis. How you doing, buddy? Didn't even check to see if there was that. And I don't know if I would have necessarily longed from that 15. I think that the interesting thing about that 15 is that it aligned really with the midpoint of the zone. You know, this being a nice manipulation, but that sends us higher. I'll be entirely honest. I'm actually a little surprised with this bullish flag pattern that's going on. If we were here, essentially, I'm not. Just because I'm not entering short doesn't mean that I think that this is going to continue higher. My opinion was that we sell off from here. Right? So far proven wrong, but still sitting on my hands. Going to end this week 5 days green. multiple four-figure days. Couple of them that I really was too busy answering questions and analyzing and missing some stuff, which is entirely my bad. I think yesterday should have been about a $2,000 day or so per, but pretty happy with the direction this week, but more importantly, the execution of that direction. How did you guys find that your week was going? How's our patience level been inside of this? I thought that it delivered quite nicely this week, for the most part. There's a couple wild candles in there, but this is stabbing down, respecting this. I think a lot of people are shorting in here and they're about to get blown. And I think it would have been valid as well to short this. Right? You get your inside movement. Okay, well that failed, but at least that's mitigated now. If it fails, put in a new high. Cool. Right? So we've got our double top and strong push away, but we've got to get a closure. Got to get a valid high in here. And just bearish, and then what's the personality? Thank you for that bearish candle. Bearish candle, thank you. Bearish candle, thank you. Right? That's your chart personality. You want to look at what happens after bullish movement. So bullish movement, selling. Bullish movement, taking in a high, more selling. Right? It's very, very different than what ended up happening over here. Yeah, I think this is probably a long that I should have taken. I mean, we're analyzing what we want price to do for the short side, and if it doesn't, then we're essentially bullish. But whereabouts is our risk? Essentially, we're going here from price action. Our stop goes underneath that, I suppose. You're just expecting a squeeze, and eventually it would have happened, right? So it's not necessarily like. People will say, well, what are you longing at the highs for? Right? You should be waiting for pullbacks. You should be waiting for pullbacks. Well, there's two things with that, isn't there? The first one is, when the pullbacks come, most people don't want to buy. Right? The best time to go long was here. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Vast majority of people that were able to identify this being a long or a bullish move and didn't go long here. I didn't. Right? So buying on pullbacks isn't always the idea, but you got to understand when this is flipping. Right? So then this becomes a better long here, but now you're inside of a CSD. That doesn't, just because this flipped, I honestly thought that this was going to do this. It obviously did not. But we only know that after the reaction that happened here. So it's not that you're longing at the highs. It's that you're longing when prices attempt to go down and it's failing. That's the key from here. That's it. It's not the location. The location might be against your rule system and you avoid it. And I can understand that entirely, and I did. Right? But we can still say with a fair degree of certainty that if price fails to go lower from here, in the area where we're expecting second distribution death, that we're going higher, and we do. So nothing wrong with going long here if you have, say, an 80% chance of getting 10 points, 20 points. Do we keep getting daily live streams? Yeah. Yeah. Tuesday, Wednesday was very rough. Could have been avoided, but just gave into the degen. Yeah, there was a couple of days this week where I thought that our analysis this week was pretty phenomenal. Right, so here's Tuesday. Well, we figured this, and then there's been a lot of I don't really know exactly what this model is, but I'm sure there is one where you get that 5-minute fair value gap, and it aligns with this SNDR area, and then we go long here. I think that there's been some pretty crazy swings on both sides. But huge draw has been how London and Asia have been forming, right? So London takes Asia highs, we take London highs. London takes Asia highs, we take London highs. London takes Asia highs, we take London highs. Engulfing. Asia was, or London was inside of Asia both ways. End up expanding bullish. Okay. Yeah, I think the euro now, like your targets above, Matt, were phenomenal this week. You were kind of looking at the 330s. You're talking about that in here. They were going to trade up to this. That ended up being spot on. I thought we put. I thought we put on a bit of a clinic in terms of getting involved in here as well. Monday was a little wild. Mine are a little bit different. Mine follow NQ stats. So I have London being 2 to 8. And that's when I look at the New York session starting, 8 o'clock. And then Asia is 8 p.m. At night Eastern to about 2 in the morning. And then we have our freedom model, which is here. That would have been a beautiful long to continue from it. Here comes 700. Talked about that. All this analysis, I mean, it's got to lead to execution. Otherwise, you're just analyzing to, I don't know, to get off to your own ability to be right or wrong in the market. Like, oh, I called 700. I shorted the entire way up, but I called 700, man. Congrats. Congrats. Morning, Frank. So just to circle back, because I think this is an important concept, and it's one of the bigger takeaways of the CSD video that I made for you guys. Those of you guys that have unlocked it on school or have watched it inside of our group. These flips have got to achieve something. They've got to achieve something. So if you've got a 1-minute structural low, often you'll have these flips that then break structure, and now you can really look for the tap back in and go. But it's that break of structure also facilitates your 5-minute time frame objective too. Right? So we can theorize this flip, but if this flip only trades to the midpoint here, right, we've got this 5-minute area lower, which gives us cause for potentially shorting in this. But ideally, these 1-minute flips also facilitate that 5-minute break. It gave us a valid high, so that's a good step. We've now got a flip on the 5-minute time frame. We did not. We did not. And I'll be entirely honest with you guys. I've been talking a lot about emotional control and psychology recently, as well as flips. And in the sake of full transparency, I've been trying to communicate a little bit more. For me, right about now is when FOMO starts to creep up. That doesn't go away. I made 6 figures last year trading, right? Which is nothing compared to some people, but I feel it's, I feel that's a decent achievement. And then we'll work towards the millions, obviously, but it doesn't matter how much you've made. You still get those emotional impulses, right? It's not devoid of like when you've traded for a while, it's not like they just go away. Successful traders manage it differently. That's all that is. You think NHL players don't get excited or get fired up when they get on the ice and there's 18,000 people shouting at them? However many in a football stadium? That doesn't go away. But you do manage things differently. And there's likely going to be something in each one of you guys where, if you look over your trading history, usually there's something in there where you've shorted too soon or too late, or whatever. And if your desire is to become a very, very profitable trader, then essentially these things will speak out at you like, hey, let's fix this. But if you approach it with a weak state or weak energy, then you're going to have a really hard time. 23,900 target. Woo! Dennis going for the all-time highs. Above. All right. We have 15-minute manipulation. Just out of curiosity, let's have a look. We're right in the 2.5. Okay, that aligns with that high. That makes sense to me. She's showing no signs of slowing down, that's for sure. All right. All right. Sideways fives. 15 just roaring. Hourly's obviously following suit. Nothing doing. Right. All eyes are on this on the 1 minute time frame. If we continue to do that, then we're just going to continue higher. Until we get something that speaks out at us. No shorts for me. I think that one would have been, at least for this moving back down to here, and then once that failed, like, yeah, you get your double top, but it's not what you want to see. Ooh. Ooh. 22 seconds. If they close that up there, that's going to be so dirty. All right, we're looking at this 5. We didn't sweep. I mean, we swept this 5-minute high. Ooh. First initial target, 671. Immediate rebound. Good gravy. Jesus. 5-minute low. This will be important. Your CST spot's still all the way down here on the 5. That will be a little unlikely, but we'll see. We'll see, we'll see, we'll see, we'll see, we'll see. Now you're looking at that 5-minute low here. Violent, yes. What the hell? Next Tuesday is going to be a workshop. We'll do a workshop next Tuesday on CSD video. So you guys got the weekend to prepare. You guys have got some stuff on Monday, and then Tuesday, of course, live. Five-minute low, violent. Traded barely back into the prior zone. This will be interesting to see what goes on in here. I think that people will not want this midpoint disrespected if they're going to continue lower short, 682-ish. Yeah, you came from DTFX, didn't you, Tigo? Right, so you probably have a decent grasp on structure. Where are you finding your issues? The majority of people that that come from market structure, that study only market structure, usually their issues lie in tying all the time frames together. So sort of looking at like this to me is a like we're building an SNDR. We don't know if it's necessarily going to snap or not, but let's say something like I don't know, if we created like a valid zone here and then we just blasted through it or something like that. Usually it's the multi-time frame aspect that trips people up. Narrative, MTA, and psychology, almost everything. Don't think you're giving yourself enough credit, my bro. $10.45. Yeah, I took this long to the high, and been sitting on my hands actually since. This was kind of sitting on my hands type price action. I think that there was decent longs to be taken out of here. Kind of looking to see what goes on right now. So sitting with $800, nothing crazy. That wasn't good enough. I was hoping that we would get like a little sweep into this and then continue higher. I do think that that 5-minute sweep is nasty. This is also violent though, so we would have to close above this 94 candle. So we might get a second stab underneath here. We'll see. Right, that 15 close bullish. That's not good for bears at all. And I think we're going to get another sort of firefly that achieves nothing. There's probably a decent long to be taken here, at least on the close of that candle after we had this violent movement, but I wanted this to be a little bit weaker than what it was, just in case we had to sweep a little bit lower. So me being a little bit picky, but sitting really wow, can't even speak. Sitting really green. So and you know, we're so high right now that we'll see what goes on. This is now a valid zone as well. Those of you guys that like structure, so you got to protect it all the way down there. We do have the midpoint, which would clean up a lot of this liquidity as well. We've already tapped into that 5-minute imbalance. We've got nothing on the 15. We'll see. Yeah, what's up, Solo? How you doing, buddy? Yeah, like I was saying, this was pretty much my only trade of the day. I think that, and I hate saying this. You know, I hate saying I called this, I called that. Like, who gives a shit? Right? Like, who cares? Did you trade it? No. Well, then, whatever. You know, the ideas are basically like I try and give multiple trade ideas for you guys because some of you guys will trade swings, some of you guys will trade scalps, some of you guys will do this, that, and the other. Right? Just because you don't trade my system doesn't mean that like I can look at this and go long. That's not my system to go long. I wanted this, as you guys know, so I passed on it, but I'm sure some of you guys crushed that long. So I think we've talked about 5, maybe 6 quality ideas that didn't really ended up working out. I think that the short idea that I did have in here, like, it failed there, so that would have fizzled. Not that I would have held for the actual stop, but it is what it is. Are you cross-referencing any multiple time frames? Yeah, that's all what I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. Right? I don't trade the 1 minute necessarily based off of like the structure of the 1 minute. Right? If this was all that happened and then we just kept going on, this would still be a valid zone. But I would take it into context of what's going on here. I trade the 15-minute time frame, but I use the 1 minute to have low risk entry on it based off of the order flow associated. All right, I want to know what the higher time frames are doing. Cool, we made a 50 or 5-minute valid high, and then we miserably failed. And we flipped back the other way. Right? It wasn't until this failed lower in the area that it needed to that I was actually like, okay, this is going on. Right? But that wasn't because of the 1 minute necessarily. Part of it was, yes. But for the same reason, I'm not long in here, even though I think this would have been fair. And then failing in the area it needs to. Down we go. 10.50. See if we get this 15-minute sweep, which is this low there, yeah, 70.50. Now again, I think that we've got all the way down here, which also aligns with this liquidity, or at least this one at minimum. Get rid of some of this doodling, because it really doesn't matter now. Oops, that one does. So I'd be shocked if we didn't take that 15-minute low. And mainly because we failed here. Like, this is not, that closure there is not what I want to see. Double bottom. Well, at least equal lows right now. There she blows. Aggressive trading underneath the 50-minute low. Possible. But I think we're going to reach down a little bit deeper into this this area where probably specifically this candle, if I had to be exact, but there's a very real chance this 15-minute fails and then we just fly. And I think if we close above this 1051 candle at 75 3/4, then we probably retest this, and then we've got a nice little bit of liquidity to trade higher. We'll see. That's an if. That's a big if. Right? Still sitting, watching, waiting. Did we trade into our opening range already? We have not traded into the opening range. That could be very real. And then a new curve long, possibly. That's possible. Taking liquidity, our big stab up. That's going to be an objective. If you guys hit that, you're already sitting pretty. Very aggressive trade, of course. At least trading back up to 671. Not a scalp I'm really interested in, but... And mainly because our CSD would have to be all the way up here. I wouldn't be surprised if we had another one that came in, and then if we're going to flip, this would happen. Cleaning up all these, perhaps. So what do we got? We got 5 minutes to the turn of the hour. 54s. There's your 5. Your 5 CSD is still way lower. Your 15 minutes still way lower. There's your 50s. Ooh. Quick 10 points, probably goes a lot higher, at least to back up into here. But I'm going to end the week with $1,000 per, and log off of that. That was the last kind of scalp idea that made sense. Just a quick 10 points. Think that if we get continuation, I don't really like how that closed bearish. But that was a little liquidity grab that I wanted to just grab some money out of the midpoint. I think that was an area that people will take profits on. And then we just kind of look and see what goes on in here. Continued failing inside of this area, like if we continue chopping and You might have to have a sweep of this now. And then you'd be waiting for, I think that flip would achieve the objective of trading back up into here, so I'd be cautious on it. But that made sense to me. That made sense to me. You got 3 minutes left. 3 minutes left. We very well could still be heading lower. As referenced by this candle, that's not exactly the reaction that I want after all that buying came in. If you're looking at the womble of this move, like I don't like the high, right? On either time frame, I think that it's very, very weak. So we're kind of looking at this area at 52 or so. Maybe we run everybody out and you get some sort of a flip. But as it stands right now, I'm not really wild about this. You do have your 15-minute opening range at 614 if it wants to just continue lower. But we'll see what happens in this area. I think they would have to disrespect the pocket. So a little aggressive. Took my 10. Same sort of idea. Aggressive trade inside the midpoint of a zone. And contextually, it makes sense to go long in there as well. If you trade aggressively, if you don't trade aggressively, you're looking for finalization, some sort of buying to come in, and then we run everybody out. And then you can go long. Right, for the same reason that this was a beautiful long here, or even this was a beautiful long there. Both of which make sense. Both of which make sense. This was extremely aggressive because the only buying we had was here. Right, I just liked how much it was sweeping down, so I thought we were going to get a major move. This to me was just a 10-point trade, even though I thought the possibility is trading back up to the 80s. Just had to go a little bit lower. Are we green? How are we doing, lads? And you can get away with these trades as well in higher time frame movement when we don't really have the finalization higher, because people will be scaling in. Even if they're scaling in here, they don't necessarily care if they run it out. But we can take those little movements if you're trading aggressively. Red for the week again. Was that because of yesterday? No trades yet. Okay. What do you usually look for your trades? This I can understand passing on, I suppose. If you're looking for swings, you're probably looking for a decent pullback. Last night, God. Yeah, Asia, no thank you. Decent range though, whatever. If I was to trade Asia, I'd probably only trade this time window. I'd probably only trade this time window. The first two 15-minute candles after 2000. Right? You get a nice little flip, violent movement, stop goes underneath, and you're just gone. And you got this beautiful liquidity. That's pretty much all that I'd be looking for. And then, sure enough, like this flips trading back down to the midpoint, right? So now you got your midpoint of your current swing. Well, there's your next target for shorts. Other than that, Could not be bothered trading Asia or overnight. That's insane. Just a blast into the close, sideways, goodbye. Where's 1800? Little chop. Green, good, Matthias. Glad, my bro. Swings, chalk. Does that change your character? Look at momentum, not feeling like I'm awake and in the zone yet. Okay. How fast can we change that? How fast? Where does energy come from? Put in the chat. Where does energy come from, lads? Who's actually awake? Options? Options. The sun. You ever sat out in the sun for 8 hours? You're tired as shit. You're drained. You're dehydrated. Comes from people, emotions, okay. Comes from mass. Less. Of course, my wife is correct. Comes from your state. You create it yourself. Immediately. Immediately. Market energy comes from Trump tweets. It certainly can. Volatility. Boom. You can induce a state of panic and fear just by hyperventilating for like 15 seconds. Well, what do you think you're going to feel after that? You're creating that. So if you're tired, you can change that. How fast? It's not coffee. And by the way, that works with states of certainty. That works with pretty much any state that you want to create. Right? It might be worthwhile giving a little bit of some sort of a seminar or something on energy. This is a lot of what you're looking for, by the way. Now, your CSD has now occurred. This is not traded back up to our area of interest yet. You got your 5-minute sweep. You got a 15-minute sweep as well. I think we at least trade back up to the 70s. Right? But yeah, you can create energy at will. If you're in a low state and you're in a low uncertain state, or your shoulders are slumped, you're breathing shallow, and you're trading, you have no business trading. And by the way, some of my worst days in the market have been when I've approached the desk and I'm tired and I don't do a state check and I don't adjust that. Because now I'm trading from a place of uncertainty, weak state, whether I'm able to call the market accurately or not. My execution is not there. And you guys have seen some of those days where I'm like, okay, we're going to go up here, then we're going to pull back to here, and then we're going to flip, and then we're going to trade up to here, and then this might move it back down, and then away we go. And I'm like long here and I get my face melted off or something. Just stupid stuff that I've done. You guys have seen that. You guys have also seen me literally call the market to the tick for like an hour and a half. But it means nothing without execution. Absolutely nothing. Right? The ability to teach it is something else entirely. How do we know we're trading up to here? Well, if we're flipping here, are we trading up randomly to somewhere? Maybe to, I don't know, 662? Just random number? No. No, we're not. You got a 5 and a 15-minute sweep. Well, it stands to reason that at minimum we're going to trade up to that 5-minute high. And we probably trade up to this 15-minute order block. I personally don't think it's done going higher yet, but it's achieved its objective. All right. Done for the day. Tuesday. Yeah, we'll get into some good back testing this weekend as well. Make sure you guys are watching the CSD video. Make sure you guys are watching the CSD video. It explains a lot, but bullish until proven otherwise, lads. Your 5-minute CSD is still way lower, which means it's fairly likely that we create some sort of 5-minute SNDR if we're going to trade lower at all. Dennis is 23,900, still on deck. Everybody green? I saw the Matthias was. I saw the Pix was. I'm sure Dennis is. I'm sure Bizram and Matt are legends. Solo, my guy. In trade number 2 now, green. Of course you are. My goodness, Matt. We need to make an algorithm for you. Legend. We'll see you guys later and on Sunday backtesting. Bye 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 bye.